You know, we often think of family struggles as, well, personal problems. But what if they're not? Today, we're exploring a really powerful philosophy that completely flips our idea of success on its head and asks, what happens when the very system that builds that success starts to crumble?
So let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. Imagine a parent who's in pain, or constantly worried, or even sick. What if that's not just about their health? What if it's actually a message, a warning signal that the entire family dynamic is off kilter?
Yeah, from this point of view, a parent's suffering is basically like the check engine light on your car's dashboard. It's not the problem itself, it's just telling you that the engine, the whole family system, is in trouble. It's a really deep concept, so let's unpack exactly how this is supposed to work.
Okay, so to get why this system can malfunction, we first have to look at how it's designed in the first place. Let's take a look at a family that, from the outside, looks like the absolute picture of success.
I mean, on the surface, this looks amazing, right? You've got the first child, a scholar, working for the nation. The second is an entrepreneur, building wealth. The other kids are all out there doing their thing. And then you have the youngest child, holding down the fort, farming, taking care of the parents. Everyone seems to have a role, and they're all playing it perfectly. Or are they? Is that really the whole story?
Well, no. Because behind all that shiny success, there's always a hidden cost. There's a price being made that makes the whole thing possible.
And that price is built on a really important Korean concept called twit baraji. It's this idea of supporting someone from behind the scenes, providing all the labor, all the resources, everything that allows someone else to go out and succeed. It's literally the unseen engine that's powering everyone else's achievements.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The support only flows one way. That youngest child provides all the dwiparaji, right? They're the foundation. The older siblings take that support and use it to build their careers, their wealth, their knowledge. But the energy, the rewards, none of it flows back down. And that creates a system that's incredibly imbalanced and honestly, just not sustainable.
So, what do you think happens when that foundation starts to crack under the pressure? This is where we get back to the parent and their role as this powerful, symbolic messenger.
And here's the absolute crucial point of this whole philosophy. When that parent gets sick, or they're just consumed with worry, it's not really about them. The argument is that it's the system itself crying out for help. It's a direct reflection of the pain and the unresolved struggle of the child who sacrificed everything at the bottom. So what are they actually worried about? It's not for themselves. No, it's for that child, the one who gave up everything so everyone else could fly. The parents see that this child's work is finished. The other siblings are successful now. But the job is only half done. The cycle is never completed. The reward, the recognition, it never came back down. So that sacrificing child is left with all of the work and absolutely none of the fulfillment.
Which, of course, brings us to a huge question. What is the reward then? What does true happiness even look like in this context? What would it take to actually fix this broken system?
Well, in Korean, there's a word for this kind of reward, nak. Now, most of us think the reward for hard work is, kicking back, leisure time, vacations, buying stuff. But this philosophy says, no, that's not it at all. True nak isn't about just consuming things. It's about the deep joy you get from doing meaningful work, from creating something of value for other people, and finding a real sense of purpose in what you do.
And this quote just nails it. Joy comes from within work, but there is suffering work and there is rewarding work. See, the goal isn't to get the sacrificing child to stop working. The goal is to transform their work, to change it from pure, draining sacrifice into something that's deeply rewarding and joyful. That is the missing piece of this whole puzzle.
Okay, so how on earth do you make that happen? Simple. The responsibility lands squarely on the shoulders of the people who benefited from all that sacrifice to begin with.
And this completely flips the traditional idea of hyo, or filial piety, on its head. This way of thinking says that being a good child isn't just about bringing your parents food or giving them money when they're old. True hyo is about looking deeper at what's actually causing their pain, that broken system, and then using the power you gained to fix it, not for your parents, but for the sibling who made your success possible.
So what does that actually look like? Well, the successful siblings have to reinvest. The scholar, with all their knowledge, needs to design a better system, a new path forward. The entrepreneur, with all their money, has to use that wealth to create real opportunities. Basically, Their one collective goal is to build a new role for the sacrificing sibling, a role that lets them finally do that meaningful, purposeful work. That is how you complete the circle.
Okay, now this is where the whole idea explodes in scale and becomes incredibly powerful, because this isn't just about one family anymore. It's a perfect metaphor for how our entire society functions.
Think about it. The family is just a microcosm, a little model of the bigger world. All those same dynamics we talked about, sacrifice, imbalance, responsibility, they play out on a massive scale across entire countries and economies. The roles are exactly the same, they're just bigger.
The parallels are actually pretty striking when you lay them out. That scholar sibling, they represent a nation's intellectuals, its leaders. The business sibling, well, that's the capitalists and the entrepreneurs. And that sacrificing sibling at the bottom, that's the labor force, the millions of people doing the hard, foundational work that allows the rest of society to build its knowledge and create its wealth.
And this leads us to the philosopher's most stark and powerful warning. If a nation's people are crying, the country is broken, even if it has a president. You can have the smartest leaders, the richest companies in the world, but if the people at the foundation, the labor force, are suffering, if all their hard work leads to nothing fulfilling, then the whole system, the whole country is broken, period. So the ultimate takeaway here is pretty simple but profound. The health of any system, doesn't matter if it's a family or an entire nation, comes down to the well-being of the people who built its foundation. Their pain is the system's pain. And that really just leaves us with a final question to think about. In your own life, who built the foundation for your success? Who provided the Dweepraji that let you get where you are today? And maybe more importantly, what's our responsibility to them? How do we help transform their sacrifice into something joyful and rewarding? How do we, each of us, complete the circle?